got a chance to see both seasons of Tokyo Vice, and I want to talk about it right now. How we doing, everybody? Hope everybody had an amazing 4th of July. I'm recording this pretty much at midnight on 4th of July, so it's 4th of July is pretty much officially over. I am your host, Frank Zanka. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a working filmmaker. And on top of that, welcome if this is your first time here. We rant about movies, comic books, and television shows on this channel. So if that appeals to you, please subscribe, and it'll tell you when I have. I do videos pretty much every day unless I'm on set, and it's been 3 weeks now since I've been on set. So I don't know when my next project is. I was kind of hoping. The end of July, we'll know if there's another strike coming. We're gonna know if the Teamsters are gonna go, and that'll tell me. If something's going to pop up. If not, I am working on a couple projects on my own. So yeah, exciting stuff. So let's jump into Tokyo Vice, because I'll go to the streaming channels and if I see something that I recognize the actor, a lot of times that's what it is. It's the actors that draw me in, or if it's the subject matter like Warrior, I knew none of the actors. And I still jumped into it purely because it was an Asian kung fu type of show. And this had the actor from Baby Driver. That was and Ken Watanabe. So I saw both of them together, and I was like, now those are not big names. You know, Ken Watanabe was bigger back in the day, like Hard Boiled and stuff like that. And Elgort, I think his name is. Ansel Elgort. I've seen pretty much everything that he's been in from one extreme to the other, because he was in all the Divergent movies. He played the brother in that. And of course, like I said, he was the lead in Baby Driver. I never seen Fall Beyond My Stars or whatever he did there. So I've never seen that, but a lot of the other stuff that he's done, I've seen. And he's also in the remake of West Side Story, which, give or take that. I prefer the original. So I was like, okay, Tokyo Vice, 2 actors that I recognize. Let's do it. There was 2 seasons. It's an 18. So the first season was 8 episodes, and the second season, which just completed, I think, because they were talking about season 3 now, it was 10. So we have 18 total episodes. They're about an hour apiece. And if you do not like shows where you have to read subtitles, this is going to be a tough one for you. I am not a big fan of reading subtitles continuously, which is why a lot of dramas don't go internationally without like dubbing and stuff like that. However, I couldn't wait to get back to this show after I got hooked on it. So all of the subtitles now. There are 2 American actors in here that I assume had to learn Japanese. And so Ansel Elgort, the directors and the showrunner on this, his name is J.T. Rogers. He's never done anything, man. He had 1 credit before this, 1. And how he got to run a show like this in Tokyo is beyond me. So, because they were flying in directors, because all directors spoke English, and he's American, but 90% of the cast, if not 99% of the cast, is Japanese, and they all speak English to one extent or another. But the American actors had to learn it, because Ansel Elgort, I was watching him behind the scenes, and they kept saying, "Look, your Japanese isn't really that good. Let's do it in English." And I guess he's been learning and learning and learning, because they said by the end of the season he was doing most of his lines in Japanese. So, so whenever they switch back and forth continuously, obviously you have 2 Japanese people speaking, it's going to be all Japanese. But when you stick in the American actors, they switch back and forth. So you're only reading like half the time. I still love the way that Warrior did how they did it, even though I knew the people who were speaking Chinese, they were all speaking English. But here, I guess they wanted the authenticity, and of course, they can also show it in Japan. So it had a dual reason, because the Japanese would be reading far less than the Americans would be, on Max. It's on Max. That's where it is. So this is the story of the Yakuza, and Jake Adelstein, who is played by Ansel Elgort. The first time you see him, he's taking a test. So he's in a very, very tiny apartment, which is norm for Japan, for everything to be very, very tiny. Which is funny, too, because even the people are tiny. And he is 6'3", so he's got a duck going in and out of doors and stuff like that. And when you see him against a lot of his co-stars, he towers over them, except for a few of the men. Like Ken Watanabe is still 6 foot. He still towers over them by 3 inches. So it's very interesting. And, of course, the women all, wear, pretty large heels on top of that. So it's definitely an interesting dichotomy of height when you see him walk into a room. So I mean, it's very obvious that when he walks into a club or whatever else, all the eyes turn on him because he towers over everybody. So he reminds me of Padalecki from Supernatural. And the other, so he is a newspaper reporter. So he is writing and speaking in Japanese throughout the entire thing. So when you first see him, he is taking a test to try to get the job at this very prominent Japanese newspaper as a reporter. And he finishes the test extremely early. So he literally sits there twiddling his thumbs until the last 2 minutes, and then he turns the paper over to realize that he forgot to look at the back, and he didn't answer at least 5 or 6 questions that were on the back, which immediately would put him into a failing grade. So there's that. That's like the first time you meet him, you already know that he's very detail-oriented, but he is not, he loses focus, here and there. So he's a little bit cocky, So, and that kind of follows through the rest of the series as well, where he does jump into things. So you have that American, and then you have Sam, who is the other American, and the first time you meet her, she is singing at a club. And then you find out that this club, they're not prostitutes. What they are, how do I describe? They're there to just converse. They're there to be night companions. It's almost like a date with men. So they promote the club by pushing sales of drinks. But they literally sit at the table and be the female companion of either a single man or a group. And sometimes there's more than one woman there. And then the women get a cut of what they've sold. So it's very interesting. That, of course, that doesn't exist here in the States. But I thought that was extremely interesting. And Sam is a worker at this, and she's very good at what she does. And, of course, she speaks Japanese as well. And her goal is to open her own club, which does not go well. It does not go well. And then Ken Watanabe kind of takes on his normal persona of being the gun-toting cop. So he is the police officer, and there's another police officer also in here, but Adelstein, I'm just going to call him Jake. Jake is he is trying to make his name in here, so he's very conscious of the fact that he's got to make contacts, and he's not afraid to manipulate and to make those contacts. And he does do things. He learns quickly that he shouldn't push the envelope and should do as he's told, or else he's going to lose these contacts. So again, that's all interesting stuff. And then we meet a member of the Yakuza, because this is all about the Yakuza. And we have Sato, who is a new entrant into the Yakuza. Not American, obviously. And we see him, how he raises up the ranks, how he doesn't really want to be in there, how his brother gets brought in, and he's got the biggest arc, I think. Everything kind of revolves around him for the most part. And because we also have Tozawa. Tozawa is the villain. So he's a very dark person, and he has a mistress, even though his wife is well aware of the mistress, and he has more than one, but the main one is Masaki. And she, so there's relationships that go back and forth. Sam has relationships with both of them. I was wondering which one she was going to end up with. Then there's Erica. I thought that was going to go somewhere with Sato. And then you have Masaki, who has a affair with Jake, but they have to keep it a secret because they will literally kill him if they find out that he's with Tozawa's mistress. So there's different clans and things like that all meet up, and they all have one type of law among them. So they all kind of have their own, kind of like a New York mob. They all have their little sanctums and their districts that they take money from, business owners, etc. And then you have Tozawa, who's trying to take over everything. Having a little piece is not good enough for him. And he makes every character in here makes a lot of mistakes, and which is very interesting to me. Even Emi, which they also call Marisuma or something to that effect, that is Jake's boss. And in the beginning, Jake makes a ton of mistakes where he almost gets fired. And then you have Ishida. Ishida is the head of the Yakuza that Sato belongs to. He's Sato's boss. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. There's a lot of twists and turns to it. All of these people are totally connected. And then there's a Russian woman named Polina, and she is Sam's best friend. And there's something that happens to her that is a catalyst for the rest of the series. So it's really, really interesting. If you don't mind reading some subtitles, then this is an amazing, amazing show. Definitely worth the watch. It has some action, but it's more of a drama. It's not like Warrior, where we have the fight scenes. There is a couple of fight scenes, but they're they're not really kung fu fight scenes. They're all realistic fight scenes, and the stakes on all of them are extremely high. When somebody pulls out a gun, because most of these guys don't have guns, so when somebody pulls out a gun, somebody's going to die. And it's really, really interesting. It'll definitely keep you on the edge of your seat if you get into it. The beginning is a little slow. I'm like, why am I watching this guy take a test in the very beginning? But once it gets rolling, it does not stop for 2 full seasons. I was into the second season, and I hadn't even realized it. I just kept, when you binge it, sometimes you just hit next, and I'm already into season 2, I didn't even realize it. That's how kind of seamless it is. Now, if you are a person that says, well, I don't really want a cliffhanger, I just want to watch everything, I just want to binge it, and that's it, then you have no problem with this. Because the second season ends finishing the story. In fact, I had to look up if there was going to be a season 3, because everything gets wrapped up. Everything. And so you won't have to worry about not knowing what's going to happen in season 3. Of course, there's, a lot of people are going to be off the show. They're basically starting brand new. Even Sam is up in the air by the end. We don't know what's going to happen with her. All right, well, that's it for me. I highly recommend it. It is like an 8.5 out of 10. It's an amazing show. Please watch it. Please support it, because I'd like to have it continue. All right. Also, remember to give me that like, give me that subscribe if you can. Ring that bell, ding ding. It is free to do that and help me grow the channel out. Also, in the description below, you'll find links to some of the books I've written, as well as it's basically an Amazon link. I'm also on Audible with Destiny Aurora. I also have graphic novels there and things to that effect as well. And check out some of my other videos. And again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys had a happy 4th. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.